Hello and welcome to Founders Time, where we interview founders of early stage AI and machine learning startups. Today on the show, we're talking to Rory and Dan from Kluster. Guys, could you just briefly introduce yourself?
Yep, hi, I'm Dan, co-founder of Kluster. I originally did a theoretical physics degree, and then I went and did my actuarial exams in Lloyd's of London, building statistical models for various insurance and reinsurance companies. And from a commercial background, my first job was at Actress, fast-growing tech company, before working for consultancy, as mentioned, around the Lloyd's of London insurance market.
Hi everyone, I'm Rory, co-founder, business partner of this chap here. I've only ever worked for one business prior to Kluster, and that was a recruitment and training business, mainly in around the sales space, which is where my arena is. Did that for 7 years. Grew a team of about 10 or 12 in the office down the road, and then started Kluster with Dan 2.5 years ago.
And so prior to starting Kluster, have you had any startup experience, or have you worked on any personal projects prior to this?
I had a personal project with our CTO back in 2011, and we called it a Rulo, and it was at the time Hotmail and Yahoo still had their UI of kind of 90s email providers, and Google was starting to be pretty creepy with the advertising, etc. So we set up an encrypted email service, linked to the Facebook and Twitter API, they were quite good at the time. I think they've changed now. But then the whole Edward Snowden thing came out, and the FBI started locking down on encrypted messaging, so we decided to scrap that. But apart from that never took off. Apart from that, nothing else really.
Okay.
Yeah, the name died as well because we tried to take a Rulo to start. When we started Kluster, we were a Rulo, and then we realised that no one could say it or knew what it was. And you call someone up and they'll say, "How do you spell that?" And they can't even get that right. You know, we knew how to ditch it. So unfortunately,
it died.
Dead and buried.
Did you learn anything else kind of while working on those projects that you kind of were able to kind of bring into Kluster again?
I think it's build it quick and release it quick, because we kind of did it over quite a few years, and then as the times changed, we just decided never to launch it, whereas we should have either not bothered or just release it and see what happens.
Okay. And why did you decide to leave your job to kind of actually focus on Kluster full time? What made you want to do this?
So, do you want to tell the background?
Yeah, so Dan and I, obviously very good friends from university, and we used to meet in the pub and talk about potentially how could we apply AI, data science to the world of sales. Because I knew that in sales we collect so much data. So it started very simply. In my business, we would charge a percentage to the client. And I asked Dan to build a little calculator which would calculate the opportunity cost of a sales director's time. So we built a little model up, and I would use that to essentially try and charge more to our clients, because we save them X amount of time. And that just kind of snowballed, and you started doing some coding in R, was it?
Yeah.
And you built a little shiny tool, which was rubbish, but good for the time. And we used to go and show that to lots of people in the market that I knew. Was the problem big enough? Yes. Would you spend money on it? Yes. How much would you spend? Just validating as much as we could with our little version, and it just kind of kept going, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
So what does each one of you bring to the table, and how do you allocate responsibilities among yourself?
Tough question. Yeah. I'll talk for Dan, and you can do vice versa. So first of all, I'd say very fortunate to have a co-founder. Like, first rule, if you can, get out there and find someone that you can start a business with. It makes it so much easier. What does Dan bring to the table? Dan's our CEO, he's the main man. So he can be the bad cop. When I'm trying to get my team working hard, I just basically tell them that Dan's annoyed at them and I'm the good guy. So that's great. But more importantly, I look after the commercial side, and we've got a very distinct technical side. They're very different types of disciplines. And Dan sits perfectly in the middle. He understands business, he understands sales, marketing, commerce, but he also understands brilliantly exactly what the technical team do, how the product's developed, built, architected. So to have that person who just sits perfectly in the middle and understands and empathises with both of those disciplines, it's brilliant, absolute godsend. He's also brilliant at modelling and our financials and looking after our bank balance and things that I don't need to be worrying about, so I can crack on and try and sell our product.
Yeah, well, thanks. So Rory's Chief Commercial Officer. He's responsible for the entire commercial aspect of the business. So as he touched upon before, his background, he was a sales leader in the city. He would sell to sales leaders across the country. So he was a sales leader. He built up a large sales team, a very profitable one, in a few short years. So sales in his DNA. He's got the network. He knows what the problems are. And he's perfectly aligned to grow our sales function, grow our commercial function. But equally, because our product and service is for salespeople, he knows all the problems that people have. He knows what they want. And then so his insight is the main part of the DNA, is the backbone of our product as well. So it's a great overlap between the sales and our product.
Yeah, so the product's where we meet, isn't it? We both kind of design the product together, and then Dan takes it and turns it into, helps turn it into, what it is today.
And so when you're looking at the product now, like what kind of specific problems are you trying to solve with the product, and what's the bigger vision for Kluster in general?
Okay, Thompson.
Yeah. So the problem we're trying to solve is we've got a lot of commercial teams who now have been gathering for many years on cloud-based CRMs, quite a lot of data. Yeah. And there's two main problems. One is a mental problem, and the other is a visibility problem. So if we start with visibility, essentially what's happening is, although they've got all this data in here, they're getting too close to result day before they know what's going on, right? And that means that you can't react, you can't anticipate, you can't help people to come back from anything that's bad. Yeah. The second thing is the mentality is, for some reason, people always think my data's not good, my data's not good. And what they don't realise is they're actually collecting a lot of it, and it's very, very usable. So there's a bit of a mentality shift that we're trying to solve as well, in that you can make a lot more of this data than you are, and it's a lot better than you think it is, so use it. Vision, Dan?
So the vision for Kluster is that we want to be Europe's leading provider of sales analytics. Our mission is to help our clients to grow and grow smarter in a more efficient way. And at a high level, that's why we exist.
And when working with clients right now, what kind of customer development process do you have? How are you kind of validating different features or ideas you have for Kluster?
Our early customers have been brilliant. So I would say that 50% more of the tool is based on the ideas of our original customers. There's an element here of finding your way. I can't sit here and be honest and say we knew the exact pinpointed problem from day one, but now we know it. And we know it because we know across all our customers what is the one commonality you've all had, and how we helped you fix that. And then once we've focused on that, we then work with them and we ask them questions and go on site and meet them, and we try and be as intrusive as we can before they get annoyed, and validate that problem and make sure that we're solving it and fixing it. That's been probably one of the best things that we've done, I think.
And I know that you're also positioning Kluster as a sort of AI tool. So could you give specific examples of AI you're using or looking to use in the future?
Yeah, so we're based on many TensorFlow, scikit-learn, and Spark. We do forecasting and insights into open deals. So depending on what we're modelling, we try out different methods for each client, and we pick the best ones. So we've got time series modelling with LSTMs, we've got other regression classification models, and also quite a bit of more traditional statistics to highlight the correlations and insights that are driving the business.
And how big are the data sets that you get to work with, or how big is it?
Well, it depends on the client. So actually, as Rory touched on before, we go to the client and they often say, well, we don't use it properly, we only fill out 3 or 5 fields. But we've got all the audit data and the log data, so every time it's looked at, every time it's updated, we've got all those logs. So even if they're using 3 or 5 fields, if they've changed it many times, you've got hundreds of records which are all mapped across the database. So we do get at a very low level tens and tens of thousands, if not much bigger, even for a fairly modest sized client.
Okay, cool. And obviously as a startup you have a very limited sort of budget for marketing. So what kind of business development strategy are you following, and how are you planning to acquire customers?
Plus my bag. So we started a very traditional, good old-fashioned outreach, cold outreach. We've got 2 salespeople, and they proactively find what we call ICPs. So we've developed our ideal customer profile, and that's customers that we know will technically fit, have a need, and they've got pain points. So once we've established those accounts, we then hit those accounts with a very sort of outbound-based approach. We've just started. We just hired a head of marketing, and Camilla, she's great, and she is now working on us producing a lot of really, really good content that will go out to our audience to educate them and help them and build a bit of a community, and that will then serve as an inbound engine. That's the end goal. But predominantly at the moment, it's all outbound sales.
So what would you say are the biggest challenges you're trying to overcome right now?
Yeah, we were talking about this before actually. We talk about it a lot. We've got a few. I'd say the main one is there's 2 things commercially. How do we sell quicker, and how do we increase the value of what we sell? Yes, that's the 2 things. But interlocked with that, we've got the technicality and scalability of the product. I'm trying to sell loads of it and make it sell faster. That means these guys have got to have a product which is both flexible and very, very scalable. And that's a big challenge. Obviously doing a brilliant job, but it's not an easy thing to do. You can probably expand on that.
Yeah, well, obviously it's a challenge, but fortunately we're having the same challenge as our clients, and then so we know firsthand what their challenges are. So we know we've got a great idea on how to solve it from seeing our clients, and we know how they want to solve it, and then that goes through to our product and service to them.
Okay. Can you share any mistakes that you've made so far, and what have you learned from them?
Yeah, so I guess the right at the very beginning, we, as Rory mentioned, we built a wireframe. We went out to his network, and they said, would they buy it, would they not? So we thought, great. We designed a product around the sales process. We did a lot of research onto the API documentation of various sales tools, and we built software around that, which is great, and it worked. However, in the real world, everyone works differently, and no matter how robust a system is or constrained it is, people customize it and work differently. So we had our first few clients, and then based on feedback and looking at how they work, we kind of stripped it back and built it into a more flexible, configurable framework. So now we can connect to multiple CRMs, all sorts of data systems, and in theory, it doesn't even have to be for sales; it can be for anything. So I think the mistake is never underestimate how much the market doesn't conform to the systems they use.
And Rory, a question for you. So how often do you get rejected when you're trying to pitch a product? So I guess you're kind of used to it by now, right? And especially from your previous job as well.
Yeah. If I ask you for a beer after this and you turn me down, I won't be bothered.
Okay, cool. So what would you say are your short-term goals for Kluster?
Customer acquisition. I'll look over here for that one.
Yeah. Acquire customers, learn from them, do a really good job for them. That's it. That's what we're focused on right now.
Yeah, we've recently got to a stage where the product is robust and great, sales process is robust, and it's scalable. So it's all to do with just scaling what we've built.
Multiply, yeah.
And do you have plans for hiring? And like, if you're looking to grow your team, like why do you think people should join you in your company?
So the culture we've built at Kluster is that people have a great deal of autonomy and responsibility, and Rory's developed a method where they see themselves as like a micro company. So they're responsible for their output. They can come to us and ask us for any resource, and if it's justified, we'll give it to them. And they can go off. They can design, build what they want. The salespeople can come up with new methods, but obviously also they're accountable for the output, as they would be in a company. So I think what's great about that is that we're a growing company, and people in the Kluster team have got the option to make a big difference in the commercial sales world.
Okay. And what kind of positions are you looking to kind of hire in the next few months?
What are you looking for?
Yeah, well, sales and customer success.
Yeah.
Technical.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be looking for programmers and data scientists to expand that side of things. Yeah, imagine our initial customer success hires as well. Yeah.
And do you have like an investor pitch, for example, like an elevator pitch for an investor?
Yeah, so I'd say the problem is that commercial leaders don't know how to build consistent revenue. The problem with this, what this results in, is that they end up treading water rather than growing the business. We're here to help change that. With our current clients, we've improved win rates by 23%, deal values by 8%, and reduced sales cycles by 16%. We've won an award for Best Sales Technology. Our user growth is exponential, and in pitches, we've beaten every major competitor to get business, and we've done that off of one pre-seed round, whereas they've had 8-9-figure funding. We're Kluster. We're here to help our companies grow smarter. So
nice.
Come and invest.
And what would you say is the best way to get in contact with you?
Come into the office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pop in number 1 poultry. Drop us an email, Rory or Dan at kluster.com. Get on the website, kluster.com. Get on the blog.kluster.com. Loads of ways.
The blog is called Clog with a K. Yeah.
Genius.
Well done. And what like looking to conclude the video now, like what would you say has been the biggest highlight since launching Kluster?
The biggest highlight, for me at least, I'm sure you'd agree, is the extent to which our results with clients has way surpassed what we expected. The statistics I mentioned before they're just staggering. So win rates way up, deal values up, sales cycles down. One client, the consistency of their revenue has increased by nearly 50%. It's beyond what we've hoped for, and I think the results speak for themselves, and it's given us even more confidence to keep growing.
And for you, Rory?
For me, highlight. I think winning our award was a big highlight because it's you get validation every day from speaking to the sector, signing clients, etc. But when you get recognised, and we beat some really big companies and a lot of funding to that award because of our technology, which is mostly these guys, not me. That was a big moment. I was very proud of that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thank you all for watching Founder Time. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Medium, Facebook, Twitter, and all our social media channels. Guys, Rory, Dan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best.